Hi and welcome to Get Me Down Under TV. Now, if you're considering moving to Australia or New Zealand, it's a good place to start here, as we bring you the only channel dedicated to giving you advice on jobs, property and relocation and getting you that move to Down Under. Now, I'm joined by Rebecca Joyles of the NAB, and it's interesting, all the banking systems in Britain at the moment. There's quite a lot of things going on with the banks in Britain, but what's different about Australian banks and your company?
Well, the Australian banks are, I suppose, in quite a different position to what the UK ones have been at the moment. Yeah. They're all sort of still in the top 50 safest in the world. They haven't had quite the same media attention or possibly quite the same investment from the governments as what the UK ones have had to do. You've got 4 big banks in Australia. They also own the New Zealand banks as well.
And which are the 4 big ones? What are the 4 big ones?
So ourselves are National Australia Bank. There's also Westpac, Commonwealth Bank and ANZ. Yeah. So you'll find that they have a presence throughout the whole of Australia, also in New Zealand as well, although we are Bank of New Zealand in New Zealand from there.
I've heard that you get charged for using ATMs, is that right?
You do, yeah. It's quite different to here in the UK. Okay. So you, if you're a bank's customer, you're one of our customers, then you can use our machines free of charge. Right. If you do go down the road, then it is around $2 each time, either Aussie or Kiwi, depending where you are. So it is something that, people that have lived in the UK all their life, it's quite different for them to get used to from that.
I was going to say they should get used to it though. The weather's lovely. It's a great place to be.
Yes. So. Yeah, it's just one of the small things from there. And there are ways that they can avoid using ATMs, I suppose, as well.
So which ways?
It's really common for people to get cash back or cash out at service stations, supermarkets. And so if you just, get $20 each time, it's a way to have to avoid those charges just in case there's not an ATM.
It's not a big charge anyway.
Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, it is. It's around the $2 each time.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, you'll find lots of the banks have apps to be able to find their local ATMs and branches anyway. So you download that once you arrive to be able to find them.
And are there any other fees that we should know about?
They are. The banking system is quite different in Australia and New Zealand, and the fact that most of the big banks will actually charge you a monthly fee. So for the same current account you'd have here in the UK with none of the extra bells and whistles, will cost you anywhere between 5 to 10 Australian dollars a month generally. Yeah. We actually don't charge monthly fees on our Australian accounts. We used to, and we got rid of those a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's good to bank with you?
Well, of course, I would say that. But yeah, it is, particularly for those that aren't used to paying bank fees over here, you don't have to actually start doing that.
Okay. And what about setting up an account? Are there fees incurred there, or what's the situation?
There's no fees to open the account with ourselves. I would say there are some banks that do charge fees, so do just keep that in mind, if people are looking into their options. No fees to open the account, and also there's no minimum deposit, no need to transfer funds until the customer's actually ready to. So. Okay,
that's fine. So do you think it's good to open a bank account prior to arrival then?
I do. One of the big reasons is that all of the Aussie banks and Kiwi banks here in the UK have a process that's very easy for those that open an account before they get there. Yeah. Once you arrive, it's still relatively easy, but there's a little bit more paperwork involved. So it's good to kind of get it done now, also kind of tick it off the list of all the things to do. But particularly if people are going over on a temporary visa, an employer-sponsored visa, if it's a good way for them to be able to have a bank account to give to their employer straight away, not having to worry about trying to get a bank account open once they're there and potentially missing the pay cycle or not being able to have that account open in time.
So it's good to be really sort of on it,
ready to go. Yeah, definitely. And also, a lot of people look at what's happening with exchange rates. So if you've got a bank account open and ready, if the exchange rate does happen to go up, you've got somewhere to put your funds as well.
Okay, so is the exchange rate really important then? Is it something to factor in?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. It can make a big difference as to what you're arriving in Australia or New Zealand with, depending on what the exchange rate is that you get. So it is good to compare what you can have, and you probably speak to a specialist as well who can give you an idea about what's happening in the markets.
Okay, and in terms of buying a house, what advice can you give?
Basically, I would say one of our sort of catchphrases is pre-approval is not worth the piece of paper it's written on. And I suppose We speak to a lot of people that are wanting to get on the property ladder when they arrive, and maybe look at different options from here. But really, you're moving to a new country. You may have done all sorts of research, but it's nothing like actually arriving in the place and working out whether you like it. Yeah. So we kind of say, wait until you've actually got in there, maybe rented for a few months, and then look at your property options from there. The system works quite differently in Australia and New Zealand, so the banks aren't concerned about how long you've been in the country for. Okay. They're more concerned about what you're wanting to borrow and can you afford to pay it back. So it's, there's no real rush there, and I just think it's worthwhile taking your time and finding the right property, because it can be expensive to get out of if it's not right for you and your family.
Okay, and can we come to you in terms of advice?
Yeah, well, I mean, we can definitely speak to them about kind of what the credit system looks like in Australia and New Zealand, and then we actually put them in touch with a banker in the country and in their local town, so that they can start liaising with them about what property prices are like, what the rates would look like as well.
Okay. So is there anything else that you want to add, or any other tips that you have for us?
Any other tips? Well, I suppose just do look around all of the banks that are there available. They say that a lot of people don't change banks in their lifetime, but this is a perfect opportunity for someone to look at the options, make sure it fits what they want to do. One of the things we really pride ourselves on is the fact that we give someone a dedicated banker to meet with when they arrive. Yeah. And those bankers are all trained on helping people that are new to the country. So not only helping to get around the credit system and talking them through the different technical terms, but also they're able to give advice on the local schools or good cafes, all
really
those
lovely.
things. So we try to really help them settle in, because we want them to stay in Australia or New Zealand and hopefully stay with us while they're there. So I would just kind of give the advice to have a look around and see what's there.
Excellent. It's nice to know it's sort of got a personal touch to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Really nice.
It's a big thing moving overseas. I've done it myself over to this side, and it's you want to get as much advice as you can, and that's why we do it that way.
Excellent, and thank you for your advice today.
No, not a problem.